What's going on, guys? It's Tyler with High Crucible Steels. Welcome back to the channel. Tonight I figured I'd go ahead and break out these brand new PD Tools Resin-Bonded diamond stones. Alright, starting at 160 grit. I got that one. I got the the 225 grit. I got the 285, I believe. 325. Okay, I must be missing one. Hold on one second. No, 325 was my next grade up. I was wanting to get the 285 at first, but I settled on the 325. May or may not regret that, don't know yet. Either way, I'll just pick up another one if I need to. But this is the 551. It goes up to 1100 in orange. The gold is 3000 and the white is 10,000. Just in case, I want to put a slick mirror finish on one of them. That's pretty cool. Even though some steels not very conducive to it, so you got to be careful with that, but it's still fun to mirror one out just to look at it, especially when they're screaming sharp, like CPM 154, high grit, sharp edges, and retain. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to break out the Xerox discount fixed angle sharpener. We're going to go ahead and get that situated and put you guys in a good position to view everything, and we'll get started momentarily. So, I'm kind of torn between that, and I can always sharpen this little lady up too. As you can see, I'm not exactly certain if the grinds on this knife are completely even, because when I got to sharpening, one side of the bevel was this size, normal looking size, maybe 1.5 millimeters to 2 millimeters. This is more like 2.5 millimeters all the way down, and even more so at the tip, which I understand why the heel bevel is thinner. It's just because Spyderco doesn't provide a sharpening choil or a plunge grind right there. So anyway, I sharpened it recently. It's not as sharp as I would like it to be though, so I think we're just going to leave this knife alone, let Komu send my Omega springs in, and when they do, we'll reassemble and then think about sharpening at that point. I'm getting to the point, guys, that I need to start buying some budget steel knives, Sin-Cut, Civivi, good sharpening knives with good plunge grinds, or companies that are known for that. And those are two that I know of, because I need some knives that I actually can sharpen on and practice on without wearing out my expensive steel. When I first got into the hobby, I literally didn't mind sharpening the things that I had. This CruWear, I really wanted to get it screaming sharp. So, not really thinking about nicks and stuff like that. It's still going to be my everyday carry. It's not a big deal to me cosmetically. Now, I know some people, they don't really use their knives the same way, and they want to keep it clean and polished. That's just not in the definition of knife to me. So sharpening a little bit of steel a few times more than you need to, sure. Does it really matter all that much to me? No. But obviously that's up to you personally. But we're not going to dwell on that anymore. We're going to get to sharpening. So I need to grab my Allen wrench just to have something handy and close by. Instead of using this huge one, I'm going to use the ones that they provided somewhere. There they are. Okay. Might be a little bit easier with the bigger one. Yep. Okay. Alright, so all I'm doing is taking the screws, loosening them on the clamp. This is a revolving clamp, so it will turn the knife, flip it completely over for the exact same angle on the other side. Hopefully. That is the goal. Now, as you can see, this is not a TS Prof fixed angle system, but it is a knockoff, one that you can get on Amazon for I think they're $70 now. I don't remember how much I got mine for, but it wasn't that expensive. It was on the cheaper bargain side. You can see that I don't use it all the time because I prefer free hand sharpening, to be honest. That's my favorite. Just making sure that this lines up. Okay, I do have a measuring tool that I can check this out on. I'll convert it to inches, throw it out, and we're looking at 3.19, half of 3.19, or 3.2 is 1.6. So from here to the middle here should be right around 1.6, but it's not, it's 1.5. Shoot, of course it isn't. Alright, how about this? Instead of doing that, let's just measure these tiny little gaps. It is Thursday night. Who all out there is watching football tonight? And who do you have? Eagles, or are we going with the Cowboys? Or the Cowgirls, as I call them. I'm just teasing, guys. There's some crazy Cowboys fans I've met throughout my life. They're a different breed. Alright, that's close enough. F it. We're good. I'm going to tighten it down. That just has to be very, I like to be very precise. That's all. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and put this guy in there straight like we want it. Okay. Then we grab the other guy, the little one, and you want to make sure that you leave enough blade out there so that your handle or stone doesn't nick the top. So I like to go ahead and give it plenty of room, as much room as I possibly can without compromising the grip of the clamp on the knife itself, because you do want it to have a firm grip. One moment, my little dog, while she looks at me for 5 seconds and then wants to go back out. Come on, baby. What is it? So, check on this guy here. Alright, that's not near tight enough, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a few more long handle turns. Should do it with the same amount on the other side. Okay, that screw was telling me that that was it. Okay, that's very firm and secure in there. I'm good with that. I'm going to go ahead and get this first stone out and we will get started. Alright, so here's the jig. Goes in from the side. Alright. Tighten this up. I do realize that this is not exactly the perfect way to use this system, but it works for me, and what works for me is fine with me. We're just trying to get this real tight in there because they never delivered whatever piece it was, whether it be a nut or another washer, gasket. I got what I got. And even when I read the directions, it still shows the exact same setup into the back of their setup. So I can only assume the only other thing up there is the locking screw, right? And that locking screw is connected right here. So I assume that once you get it in there, you're supposed to lock that down and it's supposed to stay better. The main thing I have to watch out for is making sure that the angle doesn't tilt anymore at that connection. It needs to be straight, and eventually this is gonna wear out. I feel that's gonna be the problem heading my way eventually. But nevermore, go ahead and get this Kunwu wiped down a little bit more and put to the side, and I'll end up cutting through all this mess. While I'm at it, these titanium scales, this is just one side of them. I thought the knife weighed so much more, but it was the blade of PM60 steel has quite a bit more weight to it, weight to mass ratio. So it's amazing. I forget how cool titanium is. You know, you see it everywhere on all these knives nowadays. It's almost like, what's new, you know? Zirconium, which is also not new, but it's even more expensive, right? I highly suggest you guys get some of those KP tools, Q-tips. That's what I use when I'm cleaning up a knife formally. That's what I'll pack, just so I'll have some, along with regular Q-tips, or some of those toothpick Q-tips. All right, I'm gonna leave that intact for now. Basically, I'm just cleaning up the lock bar area. I'll eventually oil it and clean it properly. When I reinstall the new Omega spring, it just broke off right in front of us there. As you can see, just like the other side, it's now broke off fully. Anyway, here's the pivot. Need to keep that intact, obviously. So I'm gonna put all that right here to the side. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get the first stone out. We're gonna use our very first stone of the bunch. Break it down at 160 grit. Beautiful PDT Tools Expert Pro diamond resin bonded diamond stone, guys. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and plug it in to our clamp. Before we even do that, I'm going to use some of my sharpening oil. Don't need much of this, just need enough to get the stone wet, if you will. All right, see how that goes there. I just put a few drops and then, yeah, just smear it right on down. This just helps with the wearing of the stone when you're sharpening. So yeah, just keep paper towels handy because it can get a little oily and messy. We are sharpening steel. Probably not the best location. Right now I am in my bedroom. That's what I use my little bookcase over here to sharpen. So everything's compact, space is tight. Once again, right there at 16 degrees, as you guys can see, everything is finally locked in as it should be. Yeah, buddy, that just leaves phenomenal. Keep the sharpening oil nearby. You will need to touch up every now and then, as well as with your blade. All right, I also want to wipe the blade down. Yeah, as you can see, we've got a little bit of diamonds loose, but this is the first time. So some of that outer layer from those diamonds are going to go ahead and be wearing off soon. Oh, that's freaking awesome. That's such a good burr already laid down on that. Hope you guys can see that really well. Make sure we're still at the 16 like we were. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and flip this booger around one solid time. That's all you gotta do. And we'll wipe it down. Like I said, it can get kind of messy. That's okay, that's what we're here for. We're here to clean up the mess. See, it's got a lot of play there. I can probably tighten a screw somewhere. This thing just has so many screws and, well, so many pivots and not enough screws. I'm going to eventually end up with a TS Prof, probably. I've found one for about $385 I can get. Not a bad deal. They do have nice sharpeners, fixed angle systems. I like them better than Hapstone, to be honest. As you can tell with this knife in particularly, I was talking to Jared about this recently, Jared Neve, and he was saying that even with big manufacturers, good manufacturers like Spyderco knives, they can still have uneven grinds on their blades. And that's simply due to volume and quality control. This one is one of those knives, I've determined, because no matter what I do, and I've sharpened many different knives, but I thought, you know, maybe it was just my beginners, you know, just fumble. But it wasn't that. It ended up being that the grind, all Spyderco, not all Spydercos, a lot of Spydercos, they always use flat grinds. And I love that about them because it ends up being a very slicey blade for the most part. I think we already have a burr going here, pretty good one. We're almost done with our job on this stone. Like I said, it's just a good starting stone. That's all I can really say about it. Look how clean that wipes off, you know. You can still wash that with some water, but for the most part, after getting a knife that oily, or you know, getting a stone that oily and being able to just wipe it right off with little to no grit. Now, if you're scared of grit scratching your knife, tape your knife, or just don't use resin bonded stones, because you shouldn't use them dry. I don't think you should ever use them dry. You should at least, at the very least, is use soap and water, use Dawn, something. Now, with any other kind of diamonds, that's okay if you don't do that. You don't always have to lubricate. And it's really about how much slurry or metal shavings that you're picking up and how efficiently you can still sharpen with a dry surface, and also about friction. All right, we're going up to the 325 now. This is CruWear, as most of you already probably figured. This is the Spyderco Manix II, CruCarta as they call it. So I'm just oiling up, if you're just joining, this 325 grit resin bonded stone by PD Tools. Really love the stuff that they are putting out. Put that on the right way there, jackass. Either that hit something or it soaked in that oil very well and very quick. All right, that's a good spring, I'll tell you. All right, we're at 16 as far as I know, and I'm gonna get some more paper towels going. All right, so coming back at you. Yeah, this stone in particular, and compared to the other one, is really soaking up that oil. That's kind of wild. Okay, I didn't flip this yet, so we're gonna flip it now. And the burr is currently on this side, which will be no problem for this type of stone. Goodness, that's gonna take a little bit of magic eraser if I don't get it off now. Okay, are we locked in? We're locked in. Now, I gotta move you guys just a little bit. I wanted you to get close as you can. Maybe I don't. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is go right back the way I was going earlier. Actually, I might be wrong there. No, I'm right. You know one thing I didn't do? Freaking measure. I'm so glad that it's right on par. I will give this machine props for that. Man, 325 feels so smooth in comparison to that 160. And all of the other grits that I've felt are buttery. Right off of the finger, from the touch, you can just tell it's just a very fine grit. I hope they still burr up a knife really easily, like raise a burr really easily, and I'm sure they will. And check your oil. Make sure that it's still lubricated. I like to keep mine lubricated because I don't want to lose any diamond, or more diamond than I should be losing anyway. And I can already tell that we've risen a burr for the most part all the way down, so that was pretty easy. It really doesn't take long with a fixed edge sharpener whenever you're going back to back, if that's your plan. Like if you have a set of 5 to 10 knives, you can really bust that out in a matter of a few hours. So yeah, I imagine the game is on by now. I wonder who is winning. I had my prediction on Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, but you know, who knows? It's the beginning of the season, anything can happen, right? What is the favorite knife that you have in your pocket right now? What's your favorite brand? And tell me why. I want to know. All right, we're gonna flip this over again. Once again, nice and grimy on that side. That's okay. I think that's where a lot of my oil is ending up, is on the other side, which is just fine by me. All right, let's see where this lays on the meter. We should still be right around that 16 degrees, but it does look like it has moved a little bit on that one. So we are gonna try, and that would be further that way, right? So we gotta go down. And that's the problem, we can't go any further down. There's absolutely no way that should be any different than what it was earlier. I just don't see how that can be any different. Yeah, that's still zeroed out, and this is still, oh, there we go. Okay, it's probably very close to what it was. I don't think it's gonna change much. These stones are so nice that whatever grit that you end up leaving it at, it's gonna be so slicey and so neat. I'm gonna show you guys the up close version as soon as I'm done. I'm very interested to see it myself. Last time I sharpened this particular knife, you really actually saw the wire burr come off in pieces. It looked like the silver cellophane kind of stuff that comes on. It looks like metal, but it's plastic. It was so cool. It was just popping right off. But with this resin stone and using oil like this, that usually deters that wire from actually becoming a wire, because it'll just allow it to break off in pieces instead of sticking together cohesively. All right, we are all good on said stone. Time to clean this one up just like we do the rest. And all that requires is just wiping it down for now. And then later, if you want to go ahead and take a little bit of soap and hand soap and water, and you can rinse that off real good. All right, we'll put that back in our case. And our next knife up is going to be, or next stone up is going to be our highest grit on this particular blade. So I think 550, just because of how smooth these stones are. That's the reasoning behind me not wanting to go any higher for now. It may change, subject to change. Okay, 550 grit. That's another irk of mine. It doesn't want to snap back into place very easily. You got to kind of baby it. All right, now that's changed as well. That can't happen. We have to be on par here. We can fix this. Set it to 16.7. Okay, that should be good. Yeah, very smooth still. I mean, with this system and these stones, we're talking hair whittling edges on almost every grit past 150. I'd say the first stone I have maybe wouldn't, but at that 325 level, yeah. Just because of how small and precise the teeth are on this blade once you sharpen with such good stones as this. All right, that burr's coming right on off as I run my finger under the bottom of it. That's pretty cool. And you can still feel it. You can see it too. Coated in oil. You can already feel the burr pretty much all the way down. Per usual. Just almost feels like super slick. Okay, that is good for me. All right, now to deburr. This can be the time consuming part if you don't have a good flipper. All right, now I'm gonna do a 2-pass. Now I've done a couple 4 passes, maybe a little bit more. Sometimes it takes more, and that's okay. Just trying to get this thing right. All right, now we're going for the 1 pass. We missed the 2-pass. And my thumb is starting to hurt. And I work all day with my hands, so I'm gonna take a break after this. Of course, I'm gonna strop it while it's on the fixture here. Last full. All right, that feels pretty good to me. Nice and smooth. It's just where I wanted it. Now we're just gonna strop it up after we look at it on the microscope first, because I do want to see that very badly. I am dying to see what this edge looks like. All right, real quick, get this guy out of the way. We're gonna check her out. All right, that is the edge that we're left with. Nice and refined, to be honest. I mean, it's got some junk on it, but look how straight that is. It's just got some junk all over it. That's it. All right, let's go ahead and strop it properly while we're in this position. I'm just going to use what I have. You guys can do this however you want to. I mean, yes, I do have actual strops for this wicked edge to put on here, but I don't feel like it's necessary when you have one handy like this. In fact, this booger is starting to piss me off a little bit. So we're gonna have to see if I can even flip it one more time. There we go. Okay, and then you're coming out of there. Promise you're coming out of there. That's it. That's all you need. Go ahead and take a look at that. Yeah, so much better. Okay, I'll show you what I'm looking at, guys. I am looking at this guy. That is my line right there, ladies and gentlemen. There it is. Man, look at that beautiful line, even right there at the very edge where it's just beautiful. Gosh, that's beautiful. Let's just see how sharp it is. push cut a piece of paper. Wait, didn't give it a fair shot at it. All right, that should do it. I'm gonna take it out of this stupid thing here because that's really pissing me off. Not really, I mean, I'm not mad, I'm just saying I'm gonna get it out of there. Here we go. But yes, this thing has got to go. I have to find something better than that. Especially when I start sharpening professionally. Can't have that. It's extremely sharp. It's very edgy too. I mean, it's a 550 grit blade. So, you know, you can only expect it to be pretty daggone sharp, right? And I haven't even gone down, well, that last one was a 1 micron strop. The first one was a 6 micron with a suede on the suede side of the leather. I don't know why this one doesn't want to go in. There we go. Had a time tightening it too. All right, there's that.